Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Common Discourse podcast. Joined, as always, I am Boogie Bumper. Joined, as always, by Sexual Chocolate, Varun Prasad, the voice of reason, Adam J. How are we, gents?
Great, mate. How are you?
Good, good.
Fantastic.
We've
It's heating up.
It's heating up, baby.
Yeah, that's it.
Finally.
The divisive rhetoric. Are you a fan of divisive rhetoric, generally speaking?
I'm a
Varun
great
Prasad?
fan of divisive rhetoric.
Yeah.
It gives us something to talk about.
Something to talk about. The more divisive, the better, you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Adam J., have you been divisive lately, my friend?
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
As often as possible.
Yep.
As often as you can be divisive, you need to be divisive as often as possible. It's crazy times. The Bombergate. We've got the guy. And just before we kick it off, I'll just throw up an article here. Thanks for joining us, by the way, in the chat, guys. Thanks for joining. Thanks for sharing. It's a pleasure to be with you, as always. If you want to skip this and just listen to the podcast at a later time, you can do so by going to iTunes or Podbean under the Common Discourse. So here's the article from the Washington Post, gentlemen. Who is Caesar Sayok? What we know about the suspected mail bomber arrested in Florida. Straight away, I just love the fact that we now live in a time and age where Elizabeth Warren has 0.0001% Native American and she's Cherokee, and this guy, who's probably like 90% Native American, gets reported as being white. Who would have thunk that we would now be in this point of time? On the internet and in real life, Caesar Sayok was not shy about broadcasting his support for Donald Trump. He should have been. He should have been.
He should be ashamed.
Should be ashamed of himself. He should be whipped repeatedly. And his contempt for those the president might consider enemies. By the way, did you guys see the Chiron on CNN? And basically they put up all the people who got these little toy bombs in the mail. And it said, you know, here are the people, bombs mailed to Donald Trump targets.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're not even hiding it. He plastered stickers across his white van. It's a white man in a white van. You can't get any more racist than that. Supportive of Trump alongside images of the president's critics with red targets over their faces. Do you remember the Sarah Palin thing
Yes,
from years
I do.
ago?
I do.
Yeah.
It was
Yep,
just
yep.
as stupid. Anyway.
Yeah.
They found a picture of Hillary Clinton with the target on her face, wasn't it, in the van?
Did they? I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
I
Now,
think
was
it was
it
Hillary
Hillary or Bill? I saw a Bill one.
I'm sure there was a Hillary Clinton one with
Oh,
the target on her face.
really?
But anyway.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Here's a quote. He was crazed. That's the best word for him, said Deborah Gergen, the general manager of New River Pizza. Oh, no, it's another pizza place. It's another pizza place. It's going to feed the
It
conspiracy
all
nuts.
fits.
Everything's
final
wrapped
piece of
up
the
in a neat
puzzle
little
falls
package.
into place.
Exactly. Fresh Kitchen in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where Sayok worked for several months. There was really something off with him, off with his head. What are your initial thoughts? We'll start with Adam J.
Well, you know, this is... I think this is quite isolated, these types of incidents. I mean,
Sure.
you know, to be honest, I mean, I read somewhere a few days ago that in a 4-year period in the 60s or 70s, there were 3,000 bombings.
Yes.
in the
Really?
United
I was
States
just
of
about to
America.
bring that up, actually, yeah.
Weather Underground.
Yeah, well, you know, just...
Well, they were politically motivated bombings.
Yeah, they were politically
by
motivated
left-wing
bombings.
activists.
Yeah, so, well, it doesn't... I guess the thing is, it does matter who did it, but the bigger question, the big picture here is that, you know, we live in pretty relatively calm times. I mean,
Okay, I like that angle.
and
Like everyone just chill the fuck out.
yeah, chill out. I mean, it's not, you know, this is very rare,
Sure.
and a lot rarer than it was, and, you know, and that could change.
Okay.
And to be quite frank.
Yep.
And, you know, a lot of people from the left, you know, got to ask themselves, you know, is it worth it?
Sure.
You know, is it worth being so adamant? I mean, for example, you know, being so adamant that a man that dresses up in a dress is a woman.
Yes.
I mean, are you going to take
Yes.
it that far that you're going to piss people off that badly?
Yes.
That, you know, something might, you know, that people might start sending out phony bombs or real bombs.
Yep.
So,
Varun Prasad, I did a Periscope yesterday in which I described the problem is we now live in an era that has been created, and we could have probably an all-day discussion about why this is the case. You know, it could be postmodernism, but for whatever reason, politics now permeates every aspect of daily life, you know, in all aspects, like so culture, music, comic books, even video games, sporting events, everything has been infused by culture. And one particular section of society has wanted to do that for the last 30 or 40 years. And congratulations. Job well done. Now politics is all around us all the time. It's suffocating everything all the time. A mantra in politics is perception is reality. So if politics is everywhere, that mantra is now everywhere also. So now we live in a time where perceptions rule, our thinking rather than objective truths, because all truth is fluid now in the postmodern world that's been created by these people. So now we're in a situation where the perception that's been created around the Democrats is that they are unhinged, they are desperate, they'll do anything to win. And I said, in a dream scenario for the Democrats, they find a middle-aged white guy. Well, apparently he's white, even though he's Native American, but let's not get into the details of that. So a middle-aged white guy with Trump shit all over his house. And, he's got these people targeted and everything like that. But the reality is, even if that story's true, it's not going to make any difference because of the perception that's been created around them that they're unhinged and desperate and they'll do anything to win.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, but the thing with that whole scenario is that you're not going to cleave off, Trump voting or Republican voting, hardcore Republican, electorates. They're not going to come. You're not going to win them over.
Who are you trying to win over with something like this?
Well,
are you trying to suppress his vote?
No, you're just trying to fill up the space, because that's what politics has become. Like you said, it's all about trying to perception is the narrative now. Perception is reality, right? Yep. So it's just about filling up the space, because now the Democrats know that they're not going to win over the people who have already made up their hearts and minds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trump supporting advocates and Republicans. They also know that you're not going to go out there and convince a liberal. Yeah, I'm not going to go and speak to an Antifa person, tell him exactly how things work, and he's going to go, oh, yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. I've been wrong for the last 2-3 years.
Can they have a come to Jesus moment while they're kicking in the front of a Starbucks? If you just present reasonable arguments to someone wearing a ski mask, hitting people over the head with bike locks, maybe they'll change their mind.
Well, the good thing is that they caught this bloke, right? Okay, because we were having a discussion before this, and Adam mentioned, it's whether the bomb went off or not, it's still in the same category of just. It's evil. It's not, you don't send.
Well, it's
packages.
terrorism.
Yeah, it's terrorism.
I mean, there's been a bit of discussion about that, hasn't there?
Is it though? It's LARPing. I think it's like walking into a bank with a water pistol.
No, I just want
trying to hold them up with a water pistol.
I just want to say though.
Is that a bank robbery?
I just want to say though.
Or is it a cry for help?
No, but here's the thing. They've been giving round the clock.
Yes.
They've been giving a round the clock cover of this, bomb that didn't go off. That was you can almost say it was deliberately made to not go off, right?
It was. It didn't even have an ignition. Like, it didn't have an igniter. It didn't have black powder in it.
Well, there was no
there was no explosive material.
There was no way it could go off.
Yeah,
there was absolutely no way it could go off. This was not Kiefer Sutherland we were dealing with.
Yeah,
here.
and Ivanka Trump was sent powder. And she ended up in hospital because of it.
Wow.
Someone sent ricin to Susan Collins.
General Mattis.
Ended up her nose.
Well, she's a New York liberal.
Yeah, that's right.
But, where was the round-the-clock cover from our mainstream media? It was nowhere.
They didn't
So, obviously, it's politicized. And like you said, I think you're absolutely right. Everything has become politicized now.
Yep.
And these are the rules that, certain segments of society have created. And now it's come to bite them on the ass. And I think the 2 weeks ago when we made that podcast, one of the things we talked about is politics is it's designed in such a way as to constrict our most sort of primal urges. So like once diplomacy breaks down, it turns into war. Wars.
So you're getting into Hobbesian. But
so
it's an agreement between us and society that we won't kill each other in exchange for giving up little bits of freedom here and there.
Absolutely. And so the politicians are trained to handle those matters. That's why where diplomacy breaks down, war is the extension of politics.
Sure.
But now that everything's politicized, you've got every Tom, Dick, and Harry engaged in the political fight who are not trained to, sort of hold their urges in.
Yeah.
You got members like Antifa fighting on the streets now.
Yeah. Well, let's hope they don't get what they want. Like, let's hope they don't get what they wish for. In the aftermath, we were just talking before the show, during pre-show, guys, in the aftermath of this, Donald Trump came out and said, because, see, stuff like this, it no longer frustrates me. Now I just laugh because I find it so stupid. And I just hope that, like, more people see it the same way. Like, don't get angry at this shit, just laugh because it's so desperate and so pathetic and so wrong. So for the last 2 years, they've been saying that Donald Trump needs to unify the country. He needs to call for unity. And we need an end to the divisive rhetoric. Donald Trump needs to call for unity. So after the people were getting these packages in the mail, Donald Trump does what? He gives them what they want, right? He comes out and he says, in moments like this, we need to unify. And then sure as shit, fuck me dead. Like 5 minutes later, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are out there behind a podium going, "Nope, not good enough." Donald Trump's call for unity is an empty sentence. Like his words ring hollow.
Yeah, rings hollow.
He condones violence. And that just proves to me, like, what's the point of playing the appeasement game?
No, you can't.
You can't do it. It doesn't matter what you do, they're going to oppose it.
Well, on the day when he was inaugurated, he was speaking about every single American, no matter what color your skin is, no matter where you stand in the social spectrum, right? You have American patriotic blood running through your system. You're an American.
Sure.
I mean, how much more unifying can that be?
Unless you're from Honduras. Which you burn American flags. Someone in the chat asking, why don't the guys get a beer tonight? They've had multiple beers. Like, can you hold your beer up for?
I'm drinking 2 at the same time.
Cans are in the bin.
Yeah.
Varun's had his 2 cans. Yeah.
Well,
has 2 at once. Carry on. Busy.
Well, Hillary Clinton 2-3 weeks ago said that we need to suspend civility.
Exactly.
Because
Thank you.
times are geez, I wanted to say it in Polish. That these times are
Say it in
exceptional.
Polish. Add a little international flavour to the show.
No,
Show off a bit.
no,
Be
that's
like
fine,
Kevin Rudd speaking Mandarin.
No, that's someone I don't want to be like. And
Emulating Kevin Rudd.
let's suspend civility because these are extraordinary times.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, they're not.
No.
I mean, and that's the biggest con really that the left and the mainstream are playing here.
That's the perception they're trying to create about their opponents.
That's it, because there's a significant chunk of the population, be it in the United States, Australia, Europe, have lived in this, in the last 30 years where there's been a relative calm. I mean, there's a great Anne Applebaum article out there that talks about, how in the 90s, after the fall of communism, people in Poland were, there was unity. I mean, who would have thought after 40 years of communism, there'll be a bit of unity at the end of that.
Sure.
And then
Hardship does that to people, though.
Yeah.
It brings them together, right?
That's it. And, they were so happy that communism, the Berlin Wall fell and all that. And now, people don't talk to each other. And I'm like, yeah, people don't talk to each other on the subject because of politics for centuries.
Yep.
That's so human. People don't talk to each other for all types of, reasons. I mean, the most trivial reasons. That's the norm. This political, that's why the left had to create this political correct, structure. So, not to have that. And that's a problem. And the lack of the marketplace of ideas and all that type of stuff. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to get divisive. It's going to get heated. Of course, sending out fake bombs
Doesn't help.
Doesn't help. And all violence, should be, I guess, condemned or whatever you want to say.
Did you see the van? Did you see pictures of the van? I want one. I want a MAGA van. Like, this is the first car dealership. Like, hey, let's embrace free market solutions. The first car dealership that offers like cut price deals on a MAGA van with like all of the Donald Trump paraphernalia. Like, I want to see, don't worry about this one MAGA van and this one MAGA van being associated with the bomber. I want to see 5,000 of the fuckers rolling down Big Motor City. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, if you were getting your car keyed by having a Donald Trump sticker, try rocking up in South Central with one of these babies. Well, they're not going to hurt you. They'll think you're going to bomb them. So you'll be fine, right? Can we play a little bit of Chris Cuomo?
Oh, please.
Yeah. Have you taken your nausea medicine yet? Strap in. Here's a little bit of Chris Cuomo. Listen very carefully right at the start, the very first sentence that he tries to sneak in here.
So now we know the bombs were real, but how...
So now we know the bombs were real, but we know they weren't.
Yeah.
We know that they weren't real bombs.
Well, is he going to follow that up now that we know that bombs weren't real?
No.
Yeah, there's 2 distinct planes here. There's one, that, this is a horrible thing to do and it shouldn't be accepted. No one should accept it. And then there's the media reaction.
Yes.
And the reaction by the mainstream in general, the establishment, I guess you could say. And that's what's really been, just absolutely horrible.
Everyone got bombed, basically. They're making out like it's World War III.
Yeah, it's the end of the world.
Yep. Yep. Well, just before we go on, one of the favourite stories I read today, I think it was in Yahoo, and they said Democrats are calling for a review of the Postal Service so this never happens again. The bombs didn't go through the Postal Service. Like, this is the detached world that we're living in.
Yeah.
Apparently they went by couriers.
Courier. Yeah, like hand delivered.
Yeah, but
there
there's a bit of,
there were no postage stamps on the packages.
Yeah.
So why the hell are you why do you want to do this? This shows like the detachment of even the lawmakers concerning this particular story. They don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, that's always the answer of the left. Let's have a committee.
Let's get a review.
Let's get a review. Let's find a way of spending more money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it comes down to.
But I mean, these people want to tell you you're ignorant. They don't even know how the packages got to the fucking place in the first place. They don't even know. They don't even know how it got transported. Let's carry on with Chris Cuomo.
The next guy like this, if we don't address the toxic atmosphere, that has to bear some responsibility for the extreme behavior that's out there. First leaders on the left. Fill the void. If the party in power wants to play mute or continue the hate parade, show you can be better.
When they go low, we go high.
Yeah.
If the other party wants to continue the hate parade,
Let's bring on
full
Maxine
projection.
Waters and Hillary Clinton onto that interview.
you push back on them. You form a crowd in the gasoline stations and the restaurants. You say you're not welcome here.
Can I just jump in here?
Sure,
Brett
please do.
Kavanaugh.
Brett Kavanaugh. I think you mispronounced gang rapist Brett Kavanaugh.
Yeah. Evil, gang rapist,
Drugger of women.
High school misbehavior.
Yeah. That's the worst one. That's the one that got the most play in the confirmation hearing.
Your yearbook. I mean,
Can you describe what a boofing is, Mr. Kavanaugh?
You seriously made flatulence jokes in high school?
What a monster.
and they don't remember. I mean, it's just memory. It's like they get the memory erased every day.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, they couldn't remember. They couldn't remember Hillary Clinton just last week talking about making the civility remark.
Can't be civil.
You can't be civil. I mean, it was just last week or the week before.
Do you know what? I have a theory, and it's just a theory at this stage, and you guys might be shooting it down, but this is the first time I've aired it publicly, and let me know what you think in the chat.
Holla.
I think that the left has now, in a sense, subvertly co-opted alternative media. Let me explain why. Things like the Maxine Waters video, you tell them they're not welcome here. The Hillary Clinton comments like, we can't be civil anymore. Now, what the mainstream corporate press does, I think, is they don't play those comments. They pretend like they don't exist. What happens then is they know that the alternative media is going to get these and then spread it like wildfire, like, oh my God, look at what these leftists are doing. But that's how they get the message out to their own supporters. So they're not the ones that are actually showing material that condones violence. The evil alternative media is, right?
Okay.
So they use like the alternative media's reach in social media and on Facebook. And then that also brings in the double play. You can get them banned for pushing hate speech when they react to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
I think it's even more sinister than that.
Okay.
I think it's basically a Flight 93 type, strategy.
You're going to have to expand.
Well, obviously the third plane in the 9/11.
Yeah, the one that crashed in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, we've got to bring it. We've got to bring it down. We're bringing everyone down.
You're all going down with us.
We're all going down, and they see themselves as let's make it as bad as possible.
Yep.
Because the end game is that then people will realize how good we are. Like it's magical thinking.
Yep.
And so they encourage this type of stuff. Yeah. I mean, there are Democrats and people in the media that are ecstatic about this MAGA bomber situation. Oh, this is horrible. Nah, the cameras turn off.
It's party time.
And
Popping
high
champagne
fives all
corks.
around.
I mean, let's get the shivers out. I mean, that's how it is.
Shall we carry on with a little bit more of Chris before we go back to comments?
Yeah, go on.
And
Always
you
a
in the
chance.
GOP, if you want to step up, do it. Call out
step
Trump
up.
for what he says. Show you can
Call out Trump if you're in the GOP and you want to, because now the inference is being made, right? It's up to you to come to us. Like you need to come closer to the left. Like we don't have to change anything that we're doing. Like we're not responsible for any divisive rhetoric like the shit that we were just going over. How about the last 3 years of calling everyone Nazi, stupid, deplorable, scum of the earth, bigot, homophobe, racist, xenophobic?
Yeah.
Like you don't think that fuels like negative sentiment in the people that you're targeting? That's irrelevant now. That's fine.
And it's important to remember what Chris Cuomo is saying here, basically. That we need to tone it down. Everyone needs to tone it down. Because there are people out there that can't deal with difficult subjects. And the question is why?
Yeah, but if he's in the one hand saying, we need to turn it down, we need to turn it down.
No, that's fine.
Hand,
There's a double standard hypocrisy play here. That's fine.
Yeah.
Let's put that to the side. But what he's saying is that there are people in the community that can't deal with these difficult subjects and they're going to do something stupid, e.g.
Sure.
MAGA bomber.
Yeah.
Sure.
And the question is why?
Yep.
Well, because there was political correctness around and people were wrapped in cotton wool. And if you expose them suddenly to difficult subjects, then there's some idiots out
Well,
there.
that's exactly what we were talking about before. Like, if everything has been politicized and this now runs into, the bloodstream of every single person, those people who cannot handle it, you're going to get MAGA, quote unquote MAGA bombers. You're going to get Antifa. This is what's going to happen in society.
Yeah.
You created this situation, and now you want to back away from it. It
Yeah.
doesn't work
worse
like
than that, you want the other guys
You-
to own the shit show
you want
that
them
you've
to
created.
take the fall for the shit that you've created. It
Yeah.
just doesn't work like that.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about that. There are certain people, be it left, right, globalist, nationalist, whatever, that can't deal with what's happening and they take it a step too far.
Yeah.
That's standard.
Safe spaces.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
That's because of
Yeah,
safe
safe
spaces.
spaces,
Because
yeah.
they just freak out. Oh my god, all this,
Yeah.
everything's divisive.
This is now what's happened with the bomber and the Antifa members and all that. This is you remember a few years ago when that girl was crying out to that university professor because this is not a place. University is not a place of learning.
Yeah.
Remember? You remember that? This is the result. This is what happens from that kind of those kind of ideas saturating society.
And again, that perception has been partly created by themselves, but it has been like, let's be fair, the people on the right have done an absolutely fantastic, stellar job of making that the norm. And you know what? I'm not tired of. I know there are a lot of Democrats out there who are reasonable people, who are patriots, right? For example, who don't support these antics. I think when they see people trying to claw their way into the Supreme Court, a lot of Democrats are like, please stop. Like, you're making us look like unhinged lunatics, right? But the problem is, here's a little red pill for you, Democrats who don't agree with that kind of fringe behavior. As long as you keep voting for that party, they're not going to listen to you.
Yeah, that's
They're not
exactly.
gonna-
I was
they're not gonna
about
do
to
what you
say.
want.
Yeah, I was
Well,
about
isn't
to
it-
push back on that and just say, you just sat back and did nothing.
Yeah, well, isn't that what Andrew Breitbart said? He goes, I didn't leave the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party left me.
That's it.
And that's pretty much what's happened to these moderate Democrats.
As long as you keep voting for them, why would they care what you think?
Yeah.
They've got your vote.
Yeah.
So that's like, vote and shut up.
Yeah.
And let the hard left carry on. A little bit more of Cuomo.
Yeah.
We have fixed. There was a little bit of an echo going to the broadcast. We have fixed that up now, so hopefully it should be sweet.
Work with the other side. And as for leadership from the top,
Here we go.
prayers
This is the
continue to
best
go
stuff.
unanswered.
Prayers
First came the
go
easy
unanswered.
question for the
Yeah,
president.
bloody
Would he
From the
own
atheists.
that it was one of his fans and dissuade others from doing the same? Turns out, not such an easy question.
But see, this is fantasy. Like, he hasn't, this is the first thing he did. This kind of action cannot be condoned. We need to be united. Where he actually came out and said, I am going to use the full force of the law to bring this person to justice. But in the perception game, in the cable news world, all of that is that doesn't exist. No, in their world that they're creating for their viewers, Donald Trump, like, he secretly condones this. He didn't make any statement saying this is wrong. This is like, if a family member lied to you to this level, you'd disown them.
Yeah,
Like, if your wife did this, you'd fucking get a divorce.
Chris Como is a decent journalist.
No, he's a good lawyer, I think.
Yeah, well, he can be a decent journalist.
He's a
at
smart
times.
guy.
He's a smart guy. Let's put it that way. The problem here is that he's forgotten that journalism is a job, just like any other job.
Yep.
And he thinks he's something bigger.
Sure.
And that's what this is. This is Chris Como and his little media bubble in New York, and he's just making an absolute fool out of himself.
Well, that's what happened to journalism in a general sense altogether, right? Journalism was meant to be about reporting facts. All of a sudden, journalism is about changing the world.
Oh, yeah,
that's
he
not what
thinks-
journalism was ever meant to be.
No.
Yeah,
right?
he thinks he's a
And-
knight at Camelot.
Yeah,
I mean,
and so one of the things, the way the left have politicized everything is by not questioning ideas because of safe spaces, but questioning the motive of the person.
Yeah.
Right? So,
But I thought that
you
was
jump
wrong.
on-
I thought we're not allowed to question motives of terrorists. Haven't we been told for the
Yeah,
last
absolutely.
2 years? Every time, like I made the point in my Daily Boogie podcast a couple of days ago, people are saying, like, they came out, like CNN, within minutes were like, this has raised questions about the motives of the attacker. And I'm like, what? Hang on. CNN is the publication that if a guy from a certain part of the world walks into a cafe in Paris with 5 pounds of plastique strapped to his chest, and there's videos, and he yells, would you say, religious affirmations in his native tongue, and it's all caught on camera and everyone can see it and it goes viral on the internet, CNN and these types are the people that come out and say, you can't question this guy's motives. What are you, a xenophobe?
Yeah.
Like, you don't understand. You're a bigot. What if he's a victim?
Yeah.
Like, so, but now it's okay. It's amazing now that they've arrested this guy. Like, we won't play the rest of that clip. You can look it up yourself. But they show, like, here he is at a Donald Trump rally. Here he is signing a petition. Like, all of this footage has like within minutes, it's all there, ready to go.
Yeah.
Right? Here's another article for you. We'll just keep chewing on this.
Oh, really? Hey, was he at a rally?
He was at a Donald Trump rally holding up a sign, CNN sucks.
Was he a stripper
and the cameras,
as well?
he was a stripper, yes. Oh. Yeah. So we hate strippers again now. Sorry, Stormy.
Yeah, because he was some kind of bodybuilder as well.
He was a bodybuilder, a stripper. Well, a man's got to make a living. A man's got to eat.
He's on the hustle.
He's on the hustle.
Yeah.
Here's another story from one of my personal favourites, guys. As you know, Slate.com.
Slate and Salon.
Have you heated up the shredder?
The shredder's ready to go. The shredder's whirring into action. Fox News is the tarp on the MAGA van. It was amazing when the MAGA van was getting towed away with the tarp over it. Like, we can't let anybody see these images. These images literally cause violence.
Because, some copycat person, he's just like, oh my God, the stickers, that's it?
Yeah. I can't wait to get my own MAGA van. I'm with them. All afternoon, the network strained to avoid the pro-Trump fanaticism of the man arrested in connection with the pipe bomb story. See, this is the thing. Fox News, to be fair, I'm not a fan of Fox. I don't watch it. Like, I'm not a big fan of Fox News.
Isn't
like
Fox
Tucker.
News globalist shills? Like, full of globalists?
Yeah, it's establishment right wing, right?
Yeah.
But I like Tucker Carlson because I think he's a little different. Like, he's a bit more, he invites people on who are like complete ideological opposites and he tears them apart. And it's great. It's fun.
I love Martha.
Yeah. Big fan of Martha. But see, this is the thing. So if Fox News reports, like, just say they report facts in this story, right? So here's a guy, he had pro-Trump stickers on the side of his van. This is his name. This is where he lived. This is what he used to do. This is where he worked, blah, 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 blah. They get criticized by Slate for not getting into the talk of this is all Donald Trump's fault. Like, Fox News is desperate to avoid the fact that this is obviously Donald Trump's fault. Do you see what I'm saying?
It's just funny when you say
You know what I mean, though? The van in question reportedly belongs to 56-year-old Caesar Sayok, who was arrested this morning in connection with the pipe bomb incidents that have roiled the country all week. The vehicle's windows were covered front to back with conspiratorial right-wing bumper stickers that lauded the president and criticized his enemies. The authorities have draped Sayok's van in a blue sheet and loaded it onto a flatbed truck, and the images of the convoy had been playing on Fox News all hour like B-roll from a very boring car chase scene. One of the funniest comments I actually saw, guys, was, and I wanted to buy the guy a pizza from Comet Pizza. Someone came in and said, see, told you OJ did it. I was like, yes. That's the way you deal with this kind of thing. So the left-wing media Did OJ do it? Well, what hasn't he done, really? What hasn't he done?
Vaughan, did OJ do it?
No, the glove didn't fit.
The glove didn't fit. If the glove does not fit, you must quit.
That's it.
That's it. There's another story here. Crowd chants CNN sucks at White House events as pictures. Hang on, let me throw it back up on the screen. Crowd chants CNN sucks at White House event as pictures emerge of CNN sucks sticker on the alleged bomber's van. Oh, no. See, now you can't say CNN sucks anymore. Why? Because this inspires bombers who send bombs that aren't actually made to detonate to people with, like, the wrong address in the case of John Brennan and the misspelling of his name.
Yeah, I'm sure CNN was the target.
Wow. Right?
I mean, these people don't open their own mail. I mean, isn't that something like that he would have thought about?
Yeah.
I mean, if there were real bombs, like I'm going to go after Hillary, let's say. I want to send her a letter, like a bomb in a letter or something like that.
Forget about doesn't open her own mail. Hillary doesn't even get her own groceries. She hasn't driven a car in 35 years.
And
Barely used her legs.
Exactly.
Hey,
they fail constantly.
If you're a billionaire, I mean, surely you can get someone to get your mail. I mean, that's
none of them open their own mail.
Yeah,
None
they don't even know where their
It all
letterbox
gets
is.
checked.
Yeah.
I'm sure George Soros doesn't check his own mail.
Someone in the chat saying, I want to see the scope that you're talking about. If you look on my previous periscopes, right, It's called "The Problem with Perception is the Truth Doesn't Matter: the Story of Your Inevitable Defeat." And so I basically wrap it up for Democrats. No matter how they try to attack, it's only going to feed the perception that's been fed into them. Do we want to stick with the bomber, or do we want to move? Is there anything else you want to talk about in this? Because
let's okay.
One thing for you to chew
yep.
on. I want to give you one thing to chew on, to comment on. So after this event, Brian Stelter was on Twitter, and he quoted somebody else saying, "Well, at the MAGA rally, the crowd chanted CNN sucks, but it was only like half of them." And Stelter is like, you can just imagine his voice when you read his text on Twitter. This is an important context.
I can see his head.
Yeah, you can, right? The bulbous head.
I'm picturing Mark Dice videos.
Exactly. But he's like, this is an important context. And I fired right back to Brian and I said, you're not going to make people feel guilty for expressing their displeasure at your work. Like, is that what you want? And people talk about, like, Donald Trump attacks the free press, Adam. I'm sorry, if the free press is there and you are not allowed to criticize it, then it's not a free press.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. I mean, this is a complete myth, misconception about, the meaning of the free press. I mean, he's more than welcome to criticize the free press. And, and when we talk about free press, we talk about, starting putting journalists into jail, or starting to, newsrooms getting raided by the police or the DOJ.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something completely different.
Yeah.
But, criticizing the press on Twitter or at a rally,
yep.
I mean, that's all fair game.
Well, on top of that, Trump, I think of all the presidents in the last few decades, Trump has allowed the most access to journalists to come and actually
Certainly
question
has.
him, much more than Obama. Obama had, preconceived questions. And he had allowed, 7 questions at a time or something like that, or within an hour?
Well,
Yeah,
he also let independent journalists and bloggers and stuff come into the press room, that little dank pit where all the journalists get together and drink coffee and shit and throw inane questions, the same question worded differently. At Sarah Huckabee Sanders. And they, of course, kicked up a stink over that. The guardians of the free press didn't want independent journalists and bloggers in the same sphere as them. How dare you?
So
this isn't
elitist.
real journalism. We're the free press because we're funded by pharmaceutical companies and foreign governments.
Well, they didn't come for Friday drinks.
Yeah.
Why
would you wanna-
introduce themselves,
Exactly. Why would you want to hang with Jim Acosta on a Friday night? I'd rather gouge my own eyes out, wouldn't you? All right.
I don't know.
It depends.
I'd buy Maggie a drink.
You'd buy Maggie a drink, Maggie
Yeah.
Haberman. She'd probably have a story to tell.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to Michael Avenatti. I thought this was absolutely sensational. Welcome to 2018. Michael Avenatti and Megyn Kelly. Listen to this. They're like, the about faces are happening on an hourly basis now. Guys in the chat, you're not going to believe this. Best known as the lawyer for adult film actress Stormy Daniels, and more recently for representing Julie Swetnick, who leveled a dubious gang rape charge against now Supreme Court Justice Brett M. Kavanaugh. This is the Washington Post. So now the accusations that you had to believe. Remember, you absolutely 100% must believe it. Now that it's politically convenient to do so, well, this Avenatti guy is kind of dodgy. Like, we don't know. I don't know if I can trust him. Yeah.
He wasn't dodgy then, but
he's dodgy now. He's dodgy now. Avenatti added to his infamy this week by suggesting that Democrats need to nominate a white man for president. Uh-oh. Racism alert.
That's where he crossed the line.
He crossed the line because, quote, this is a quote from Avenatti, when you have a white male making the arguments, they carry more weight. Should they carry more weight? Absolutely not. But they do, yes. Now, the amazing thing about this is exactly what the fringe left, like the identitarians, the people who talk about white privilege, this is exactly what they think. He's actually agreeing with them.
He's just articulating it.
He's articulating. Yeah. They actually say that if you are white, people are going to listen to you because you have white privilege. And if you're not white, then you don't have the same voice. They talk about your voices will not be heard. He comes out and says basically the exact same thing. He even says, I wishes it wasn't that way. Guess what? He's a racist too now. So if you just articulate the arguments of the fringe left identitarians, the identity politics crowd, you are a racist. Like, I guess this theory must just exist but never be spoken. But the beautiful part about that is now that he's been disowned by the Washington Post, we thought we'd go back in the Wayback Machine and see how he was received on the Washington Post back in March. So this is March 25.
Back in March.
Yeah, if you're watching the broadcast, you can see the difference of the images here. So in one image, it looks like he's howling at a microphone, like, oh, like a wild man. In the image from March, it's like a stern, cold, like very serious character.
2020, baby.
2020.
Determined.
Listen to this fawning language. It's absolutely disgusting. Avenatti, who has heightened anticipation for his client's television appearance by dribbling out hints about major revelations, has linked his reputation to the Daniels case. It is another big bet for an attorney with an enormous appetite for risk, whose roster of courthouse adversaries includes mega corporations as well as celebrities such as Paris Hilton and Jim Carrey. He is an adrenaline junkie, says Jonathan Turley, who taught Avenatti at George Washington's University Law School and has stayed in touch since his former student earned his law degree. Quote, I think he needs that adrenaline rush. He lives his life aggressively. Both in litigation and in life, he shows a certain aggressive style. He's Davy Crockett. He's the new law adaptation of Davy Crockett. He's a hero. He's an American hero. Back in March 25th, he was the brave man.
Tom. Tom in A Few Good Men.
Exactly. He was the brave guy who was going to bring down President Trump. Now that he articulates a very well-known theory on the hard left that white privilege means that you can only get elected if you're a white guy, now he's racist scum and we need to kick him out.
We never really believed in him.
But the beautiful part is he also is under threat of indictment now because you see the claims there, like everyone was waiting with anticipation to see the credible accusations. Remember the credible accusations? You must believe these women. I know, I'm 100% certain. I lost count of the amount of times I saw him on MSNBC and CNN going, no, Wolf, we have confirmation. We know this is 100% accurate. My client is very truthful.
I watched one live. He was on New Day on CNN with Alison Camerata. This was about the Sweatnick allegations.
Yep.
You know, Kavanaugh's a gang rapist.
Yep.
That's it. And Alison Camerata's there, and she's like, well, all these allegations haven't been proven yet or nothing. I'm like, why is he on?
Yeah.
It's because I'll tell you why he's on.
Well, they're filling up the space.
No, I know why he's on.
Yeah.
But
it's PR.
Yeah, but it's just like, well, if they're not verified, these allegations, if they're not corroborated, I mean, why are you giving this guy a voice? And, you know, so...
In any other terms, I mean, that should be an illegal act to do that, right?
Sure.
No. An illegal act?
Yeah, I
well,
mean, it's defamation of character. To go...
but because he's a lawyer...
Yeah, but he can.
In a lawsuit, you're allowed to defame people in a lawsuit.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But are you allowed to use the media to do that?
He is. He has.
I just didn't think that was
because he's got the lawyer thing around him. I made this point often. See, the thing is with Avenatti, the reason he gets trotted around all of these talk shows is he can come out and make the most outlandish, slanderous accusations possible, and he doesn't have to prove them because what he can say. He did this many times. He was like, "I've been talking with some women who have who have had relationships with Donald Trump. One woman may have even been forced to get an abortion by Donald Trump, but." I don't know if I'm going to represent them yet. So he can just float the rhetoric out there. He can float the accusation out there. And when push comes to shove, if someone puts pressure on him, he can turn around and say, well, they haven't decided like they want me to represent them. So like I can't speak anymore on the matter.
Well, I mean,
it's a perfect loophole.
The way he was being way he was being trotted out. And you'd think CNN would hold the Michael Avenatti hour. You know, he'd get his own bloody show on the bloody
Trump does this as well. Oh, people say, other people say.
Sure.
People tell me.
Yeah. But Donald Trump isn't saying that people are gang rapists, right?
Yeah, but he's certainly said
Donald
things
Trump
that
doesn't act in a capacity of a lawyer representing somebody making
No, but he definitely has said things that aren't true.
Well, a lot of people say things like people say this and people say that.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the same loophole.
Well, it's different, no, because he's not a lawyer purporting to represent
but he's a lawyer
somebody.
and he's saying what his client said. You know, my client told me.
And that's my argument. Like, it comes with more of an air of authority, right? Because he can. Like, I'm a lawyer. Like, look at me with my big lawyer suit and stuff. Like,
the good thing about this now is, like, Keith Ellison's gone. Elizabeth Warren's gone. This guy's gone. Who is going to fucking lead the Democrat Party now?
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris, yeah.
Michelle.
Right. But, I mean, she's a cheating...
Slept
on
with
her
her
husband. Did she cheat on her husband?
No. She slept with the guy who used to be in the seat that she's in now, and then got the seat handed to her after he retired.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, you got to do what you got to do. It's tough. It's a tough world out there. Do you want to get on to...
I don't know if I want to comment on that.
You don't want to comment? Anything to add on Michael Avenatti, Varun Prasad?
Not really. I think he's kind of crumbled into irrelevancy now.
Yep, it's over.
Let's just sit back and have a laugh when all the other details come up.
Sure. Okay, I think we've got about 10 minutes left. Let's go. I want to talk about Megyn Kelly. Are you still fans of Megyn? She's done. She's finished. It's over for Megyn. You sent this through, Adam, a couple of days ago. Salon. So long, Megyn Kelly. Now we know your racism was always perfectly sincere. See, this is the thing I love. Like,
sincerity is important.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, if you're going to say something, at least believe it.
Yeah.
At least be believable. But don't you love how these kinds of publications constantly play this game? Like, we always knew she was a racist. Like when she was attacking Donald Trump, like she was standing up for feminism.
Yeah.
But all the while, we knew she was a racist.
Under all that.
But it's like, hang on, if you knew she was a racist the whole time, doesn't that make you kind of a scumbag for promoting her when she was attacking Donald Trump?
No, I mean, these people know all. They always knew that Avenatti was wrong. He was dubious. So,
yeah, we never trusted
Avenatti.
Avenatti.
Ever.
Never.
No.
Never, ever, ever. Kelly's fall shows why we must abandon the myth that conservatives are just performing racism to roll the rubes. Yes, like, don't you love the premise here, right? So conservatives really are racist. Like, they're not just acting racist. Because of things like if you question perhaps that maybe Santa Claus isn't a black guy. You know, see, they're not just acting like we used to think it was just kind of harmless and playful racism that they never used to mean. They never really meant it. They were just performing for their rubes. But now we know, Varun. Now we know all of the conservatives, they really mean it. Here's a very interesting, illuminating paragraph, and then we'll go to a discussion.
This paragraph.
This is one of the best things I've ever read.
Yeah.
I'm going to put this on the fridge. Kelly is such an unreconstructed racist. What does that even mean? Do you know what unreconstructed means?
It's like a double negative.
It's a double negative. Right?
I don't know what it is.
If she's a reconstructed racist, that means she was like a racist torn apart and then built back up again. So I guess this is just another way of saying she's just a racist.
Yeah.
Like we just throw a word in for no point.
Yeah, well,
no
you know, a lot of progressives like to do this. They throw in all these, concepts, this and that to dazzle.
Yes.
Yeah. To dazzle. I'm like, oh, well.
To entertain their rubes.
Yeah, well, I can't quite understand this and I can't quite, logically, but that's because this person's smarter than me.
Yeah.
This person's smarter than me and I should listen to this person.
That's true. This is your intellectual
it's
and moral authority.
Appeal to authority.
Yeah.
There you go. Kelly is such an unreconstructed racist that she famously flipped out in 2013 ads in reaction to a piece by Slate writer Aisha Harris about Black Santa iconography. Where is the Black Santa iconography, by the way? I haven't seen any. Maybe I'm a racist too. Maybe I'm colorblind, and that's racist now.
Shit, Santa doesn't exist. I haven't since I was 5 years old.
Maybe that makes you a racist. Like, you have to believe in Santa Claus now.
I have to believe Santa Claus and I have to believe that he's black.
Think of all these racist children running around thinking that Santa's white. This must be stopped. It's the next generation of the KKK. Yeah, they're only pretending to be racist, the kids, but they really mean it. They're really the worst.
I'm only
Nazis.
pretending that Santa Claus doesn't exist, but oh, never mind.
Little Johnny gets a brown shirt for Christmas every single year.
That look in your eye, Adam, looked like that was the unreconstructed look in your eye.
She insisted that not only was Santa white, but so was Jesus, and that in both cases this was a, quote, verifiable fact. This claim was unbelievably dumb on multiple levels. It wasn't just dumb. It was dumb on every single conceivable level. Leaving aside the fraught question of whether there is a Santa Claus...
My dad used to bring in the fucking presents.
These people mean this stuff. They're not they're accusing conservatives. They're not just pretending to be racist to entertain the rubes. They really are. I'm going to put it to you that they're not pretending to be stupid. They really are.
They really mean it.
They really are. To entertain their rubes. Leaving aside the fraught question of whether there is a Santa Claus, his legend is apparently based on a man born in Turkey. That's not what I understood. I thought it was St. Nicholas who lived in Germany. I know there are large sections of Turkish populations now living in Germany. I don't know if they've been there for the last 400 or 500 years, though. to be fair. I'm not sure the Huns...
Now, like if Santa Claus started now, I mean, it could be understandable depending on which suburb. And
I didn't know the Huns were so tolerant. Did you? They loved immigration.
Santa's great.
Yeah, the Huns, they brought down the Roman Empire, but they really just wanted a falafel cafe.
And this bloke's just walking around like it's 40 fucking degrees in a red robe. This guy's great.
We're going to call you Santa. He's a Turkish man. He's a Turkish guy wearing like Islamic Mohammedan gear from the 1500s, walking around in icy, snowy northern Germany, handing out presents to Christian children. He was handing out kebabs.
Or Qurans.
Or Qurans, whatever. Middle Eastern man who, Jesus, if he existed, was a Middle Eastern. I love that 2,000 years of theocratic discussion has now been solved. We have consensus in Ceylon. Jesus, if he existed, was a Middle Eastern man who lived long before the concept of whiteness was invented. And when I read that... Yeah, the concept of whiteness was invented like between the 60s and 70s, as I can best guess. So I guess that's when world history started. Jesus was born in 1963.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just the opening of that
Santa Claus
sentence.
not too long after.
Jesus, if he existed, was.
Yeah, exactly. If he
And on this
existed,
matter,
he
there
was
can be
Middle
no
Eastern.
debate. The science has settled that if he was alive, he was black.
Yeah. Well, they're saying that Jesus didn't exist, right? Because they go on to say, more importantly, both figures can safely be understood more as mythical than historical.
Oh.
So they're saying Jesus was a myth, but if he existed, he was definitely not white.
Oh, Megan, she was wrong on so many levels.
Do you ever wonder why people who read this garbage, like their brains are twisted into a pretzel when you talk to them? Like,
It's highly entertaining.
it is, isn't it?
I mean, it's nearly, remember
It's
Onion
frightening at the
News,
same time.
Onion Network News or whatever it was.
Yeah, The Onion. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is not satire.
Oh, isn't it?
No, this is Ceylon. This is Ceylon.
No.
Importantly, both figures can be safely be understood more as mythical than historical, and subsequently can be interpreted to look however people like. So here's the thing, okay? So Jesus was definitely mythical. However, if he did existed, he definitely wasn't white. Therefore, we can make him whatever color we want, except white.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing, Damo. This is postmodernism in a nutshell.
Gender, race. I mean, just
Whatever.
pick and
Well,
choose.
postmodernism
Jesus was an
is
Asian woman.
ripping meaning apart, right?
Okay.
There's deconstruction. You're just ripping meaning apart and having no sort of there's no connection to any narrative.
Nothing means anything
Nothing
anymore.
means anything, and that's what postmodernism is, and that's exactly this article that you're reading.
Yep.
Postmodernism.
I'll tweet that out after the show. I think it's one of the best things I've ever read in my life.
Just
Well, again, and if we can loop it right back around to the start of the show, here we are. Elizabeth Warren has, she's one of the whitest women in America. You're allowed to call her a Cherokee. A Cherokee gets, an American Indian gets arrested for bombing. Oh, it's a white guy.
Yeah.
Like Santa Claus doesn't exist, but if he did, he would be black and not white. How dare you suggest otherwise? What a stupid claim. It's easy to say that, Jesus Christ was a mythical character. Let's all agree that Jesus Christ was mythical. Therefore, he was a Middle Eastern man. I guess there are no Middle Eastern men walking around anymore. They're all mythical too. I mean, it's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane.
You can't apply any logic.
Yeah.
You just can't.
no more drugs for this bird.
No more drugs.
Yeah.
Well, again, welcome to the perception game in 2018.
Yes.
Everything is just a perception now. So, any final comments for Unprasad?
Just pretty much doubling down on my last comment on postmodernism.
You bigot.
This is exactly what it does. This is exactly what it is, and that's exactly what it's designed to do. Rip
Sure.
meaning apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For what purpose?
Rip away from the grand narrative that is Western civilization.
Adam J.
The most disturbing thing about this is that while we can laugh about it, there are people out there that totally accept this and are open to this.
Yep.
Can't just swat it away like a fly, on a sunny day, like we can. Not to sound arrogant about it, but
No.
and that goes back to why. And I mean, education. I mean, the sense of having your head screwed on properly.
Absolutely.
And I wouldn't say it's a rarity these days, but it's certainly gotten to a level where it's I don't want to use the word scary because that's an overused word today. But, yeah, but it's concerning, you know, that there is a market out there for these type of articles.
Oh, absolutely.
Well,
And they chew it down. And it's so, you know, Newt Gingrich said before the election, it was actually a Megyn Kelly interview, that there are two distinct
The
versions.
racist Megyn Kelly.
Yeah, the two versions.
That's the way you got to
Bad Santa.
Bad Santa.
No. If he's black, he's good Santa. Remember that.
That there are two distinct versions of reality happening now. And
Okay.
it's widening. I mean, it's.
Well, we were talking about it before, Adam. Like,
Yeah.
I mentioned that I see the future of America is very dark at the moment. I mean, how do you see that at the moment? I mean, the polarization in American politics at the moment is it reconcilable, do you think?
I think you're in a race. So I think there's a race between irreconcilable and to the point of maybe even the union fracturing and you know, that kind of thing, or it'll get to the point where the cannibalization of the PC, of the identitarians on the fringe left will
They'll
just
eat their own tail.
it'll continue to speed up.
Yeah,
And as it speed up, they will get pushed into smaller and smaller, and they'll eventually be pushed back into the cave from which they crawled out of in the 1960s when Jesus was born.
Yeah, if things really do get serious, I think people will just be like, okay, they'll take a step
time
back.
to bring out our
They'll
guns.
say, okay, do we want some type of, you know, just peace here and just, you know, just to keep going the way we're going in relative peace and calm? Or are we really going to double down for stupid
Yeah, because
shit?
look, the
I
end
mean,
point.
you know,
I don't think they can stop.
that I can't dress up as an Indian for Halloween.
Yeah, but the end
They
point
can't
right
stop,
now,
I don't think.
the end point right now of what both people want are completely separate.
Yeah.
You know? So, and when they're completely separate, what happens is that they're questioning each other's motives rather than the ideas. I don't see it reconciling at the moment.
Oh, well, I think that's in the middle. And I'm not necessarily calling these people centrists.
No. Undecideds.
They're just
Undecided,
torn.
you know,
Unengaged. Not engaged. Just
you know,
doing their life.
that there are mobile, you know, there are dedicated minorities really that are pushing a lot of the narrative, and that eventually these people somewhere that are not involved in politics, so they're not centrists, but they're just not so much involved in politics, will slam their fist down on the table. I think that will happen very soon.
Do you think it's going to take, to like expand on that, do you think it's going to take to the point of the reasonable American who doesn't even want to be politically engaged, who just wants to go about their life, pay their tax, raise their kids, that kind of thing, the middle class? Will it be the uprising of the middle class that puts a stop to this nonsense? Like when the middle class collectively gets together and says, hey, you guys over there who have these whacked out far left Marxist crazy shit from the universities, sit down and shut up.
Yeah, it would just be
You're
as
not
simple
running
as,
shit. And then they turn around to the other side and go, you,
Yep.
stop it. You know, like remember that famous Donald Trump thing.
Yep.
Stop it.
Yep.
Stop it. Just do what your goddamn job is.
Yeah. I think that's exactly how it's going to go.
Well, maybe
I
it will.
hope so.
I think everybody does. To the guys in the chat, thanks for joining us. If you want to keep up with the show, you can do so on iTunes. Look for The Common Discourse. You can follow Varun. Are we allowed to reveal your Twitter account yet or not?
When I start my show again.
When you start your show again.
Love the logo.
Love the logo.
thank
It's
you.
good. Ted Dabrowski for the voice of reason, Adam J.
Yes, check out my 2-3 tweets a week.
2-3 tweets a week.
Yeah.
Because it's quality.
Stay tuned.
Quality, not quantity.
Not quantity.
You've got the population hanging on the edge of their seat.
I'm sure I do.
You can follow me at Boogie Bumper. Thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks for sharing out. Until next time, stay calm, stay rational. God bless. We'll
Take
see
it
you
easy,
soon.
guys.
Bye-bye.